this side of it, there's 4 guys with bushes on them. I want you to kill them. Okay, I'm going to put tracers right here.
A lot of people have no sense at all that they have a dark side. They wish they lived in a world where these emotions and lusts don't exist. They're just denying. When they don't understand that war is, it's like weather. It's like a natural disaster. It's virtually unstoppable. They don't mind coming in as a voyeur from time to time. But it's a dangerous exploration. However it turns out, you're going to be different. It's going to change you. The fact that one experiences so much beauty and so much pleasure in a situation that's commonly thought of as being, unrelievedly horrible and ghastly, that's a problem for the Western mind to deal with. That was a problem. If war were hell, and only hell, and there were no other colors in the palette, if that was the essence of the experience, and all that there was to the experience, I don't think people would continue to make war.
They got tunnel complexes all under the ground over there, miles and miles of them. And the Gooks stay in there, they hide their weapons, they have their hospitals, and we'd go and explore all these and find as many Gooks as we could and destroy them. Then we'd destroy the tunnels. When we'd come to a tunnel, there'd be 3 guys outside, I'd go in. The first thing you watch for was Gooks down at the bottom. There was a step off, and then it usually opened up into a small room. Well, that's usually where you found most of your booby traps, your punji sticks, spiders, rats, scorpions, And there's such a small area to move around in, and they're dark. They're pitch black, just damn near just pitch black. It was almost like being a blind person. And you went by touch and smell and hearing. You think people seen big rats. These were like dogs. I mean, they were big. They used them a lot of time in that first section of the tunnel going in, because usually an American would back out if he seen 6 or 8 of them. They'd come up to you, and a lot of them would even rub your body, crawl over you. But I had never had none bite me. I'd usually crawl on past them. Of course, they can't order you to be a tunnel rat. You got to volunteer. I said, sure, I'm ready for it. I said, let me pick my weapon. There was very few people that would do it. You could touch things and feel and tell what it was. Sometimes guys touched the wrong things. I'm not going to say I wasn't scared. There was a little place in the back of my head for that, but you had to get rid of that or you get claustrophobic. Fear can be a bad emotion. It can shake you up so bad that you can't function. So that's why I always tried to keep that adrenaline ready. When I knew I was possibly, or 9 chances out of 10, going to get a kill, that adrenaline was flowing so high that nothing else mattered but that kill.
So what would happen if you would encounter an enemy?
Well, it'd be either him or me. If you encountered him first, you shot him, and vice versa. A lot of them would hesitate. I don't know why they'd hesitate. I don't know if it was because of total surprise. I had one get the drop on me, but I shot him and killed him. You could smell the goop. You could smell them. They smelled like, imagine sweat and spices mixed together, a lot of spices, real spicy. They just had an odor to them.
The extremely dangerous secrets that guys had told me because they wanted me to tell them. It's their voices, it's their amazing eloquence. My book is full of them. You know, that's really what my book is. You know, these guys who were like semi-literate kids from a really unfavorable social background who just had such a dignity. I couldn't help but find that really moving and really persuasive, and not just in the writing of the book, but in helping me process this nightmare I'd experienced. You know, there were a few times where I was just so overcome with a disgust and horror. And that was something I didn't ever want to see again. Because I'm a nice middle-class Jewish boy. I'm not John Wayne Jr. You know, I'm not a blood and guts guy. I just had a very strong attraction to war.
And was it satisfying?
Yes. Yes, I was satisfied. That was something I felt I didn't have to do again. I saw it for a year, and that was really enough. Probably too much. If I'd been at all smart, I probably would have left after the first operation. I know reporters who did.
Why didn't you leave?
Because I was into it. I was into it. I was all caught up, in the trip. I believed in it. I didn't believe in the war, but I believed in my being there to see this war. And it was interesting. It was not boring. One is never bored. I had really the same dumb fantasy that most of those kids going over had. I passionately wanted to see a war for complicated reasons of my own. I was drawn to it by, very violent and adolescent emotions. People tell themselves all kinds of things, to explain why they do what they do. Very few people do these things without what they believe is a good reason. Because you would see guys would come up and you'd say, why are you here? And they'd say, well, I'm here to kill gooks. And they knew why they were there, and they weren't kidding themselves. And they liked it. They got into it, and they liked it. It's very frightening. My story was, I went to write a book. So virtually, this whole phenomena that I saw there, in my mind, was just material. And that was my way of making it less real. We recognize something when we see these photographs. We're very attracted to it, and of course we're repelled by it. We don't understand, these feelings we're having about it. There's some connection that everybody feels to these photographs. And I think even a kid knows that, because it's obscene. It's a terrible intrusion. It's the ultimate blood sport, and it would be not useful to pretend to anyone that it isn't exciting, that it doesn't really turn people on. Always has done, and it always will. It can't be an accident that the bloodiest century in history was also the century of, the movie camera. I've heard for years and years and years the sort of pathetic claim of television journalists that because they were there all the time and it was on the news every night, that they were responsible for shortening the war in Vietnam. When my feeling is that they actually were instrumental in prolonging it.
See, what happened is with the bullet, I didn't know when I took that picture. I mean, I know when I took it, but I didn't know what I had. And when I took it, like when he raised the gun to shoot him in the head, I didn't know he was going to do that. I thought he was going to threaten him with his pistol. I seen him reaching for his pistol. As he reached for his pistol, I just brought my camera up with his pistol and took the picture as quick as he brought it up. Well, it turned out that's when he pulled the trigger. I didn't know he was going to pull the trigger. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know when the picture was taken. From the time the picture was taken, the bullet was still in his head.
Curiosity. I'm very curious. I wanted to see for myself. That's one reason I volunteered too. So.
But what were you curious about?
The things that have been put on TV about how guys was killing babies, killing this, killing that.
These documentaries, these movies they make, they really can't tell the bottom line truth.
But how can I not understand it?
Because you were never in war.
It's not hard to understand. It's just that sometimes you talk about Vietnam and people like look at you like, are you crazy? What do you think I'm gonna believe that? Do you think I'm gonna believe that you went through so many situations to survive, to make it back home?
So how did you feel when you shot the
Nothing.
picture with Lana?
Nothing. No, I felt absolutely nothing. It was, when I did the picture, I stopped back at the AP office and I handed him this roll of film. And I said, I think I got somebody killing somebody. And I went out to lunch. It was that simple. People were getting shot. You know, like they do in all wars. And it's expected. If I got killed, I was killed. I've seen so many people die. He was one of many people who were killed that day. And when I took the picture, it was, so what? Anybody there could have taken the picture. I had nothing to do with that. It happened and I was there. A lot of times we would go out on an operation. It was in Bosnia or something. Was it Bosnia? And nobody shoots at you. If they don't shoot at you, I have no pictures. I can't take a still photograph. You guys could have a story with footage, even if nobody shot, that's the story. But me, with one still photograph, what am I gonna do, show a tired soldier? I mean, because nobody, in fact, we used to have a little saying in the early days of the war, if we're lucky, we get ambushed. Because if we got ambushed, we have pictures and we have a story. Yet people die in ambushes and get hurt. And later on, as the war progressed, we never joked about that anymore because it got very serious. And these little rich kids went over there and they became, they were adventure seekers. I remember one girl who was a real jet setter came over there and wanted to cover the war. And so, if you want to cover the war for $10 a story, we'll give you $10 a story, the AP, and they did. It's like...
Is it addictive?
Well, it has to be, but I don't know why. I mean, because I don't know what I want to prove. So it's not a question of proving. Maybe it is a question of proving. I don't know.
But will you do it again?
I'll do it again. I'm sure I will, because I've been thinking about it a lot.
When you go on something called a search and destroy, your mission is destroy everything in the village.
Okay guys, here's a bomb crater. Oh, that's more like it. Holy man. Okay, this is a bomb crater.
Oh, it's an adventure. It's terror because you don't know what lies ahead.
So therefore, you have to be alert, be awake and be alert. You have to be able to learn to distinguish which is which. And you can only do that with time in country. Sometimes you might even hit Charlie, crawling through the bamboos. Scary.
One does not have to learn how to survive in the jungle. Those things is already there. Well, when you're in combat and you're in the jungle, then those instincts come back. They've always been there. The sense of smell, okay, comes back. The hearing comes back. Seems like, sight becomes much more acute. A sixth sense comes in, like, I cannot see a person over in that direction, but I know that there's a person over there. All of these things just come back.
I see these images at the corner of my eye, my peripheral vision. I see this dark shadow zoom by. And you hear all kinds of noises.
Screaming.
Landmines, ambushes, losing bodies. Never see the enemy. Fear to kill, okay. The thing for lust, okay, because you become highly sexed. Okay, everything's full throttle. With adrenaline, okay, becomes a way of life, and it cannot go back to normal again. And so living on the edge. They didn't exactly see the enemy, but they saw a lot of Vietnamese, and they had the order. The order it was their order. Waste them all, and most of them did.
And that's all our battalion officer hollered about was body count. Get in the tunnels, get them. Get body count on land. It was constant. And it kept you driving on.
You don't stop.
Getting body count in a tunnel was more than getting one on land. You really done something if you got body count in a tunnel. And I got to do what I wanted to. I didn't have to answer to nobody. Blow the guy's brains out. He'd be happy we got body count. We started getting a lot of body count.
And so it's like a mind thing. It plays tricks on you. Your mind plays tricks.
When you ever been real nervous to where you felt like you was gonna lose your mind, the stuff they pounded into your head constant.
Probably the doctor, they don't like it.
Legs blowing off, balls blowing off, blinded, friends killed. And never see the enemy.
Kids, women's children, the innocent, the guilty, everyone goes in wars.
We need body count. We need body count, more body count.
Guys love to kill. Guys love to kill. And you don't have to find a war for the people who love to kill, or
really,
some people just hate.
Go out and kill.
And be able to do it.
You have an automatic weapon, it's something about when you pull the trigger, it's a good feeling in your hand. And when you get behind a 60, like the guy was in the chopper, the guy was telling me, you don't have to do a short burst and then stop.
The one I was in America was called the baby killer.
You just fire all you want because the air.
Because we killed kids.
And it's a certain feeling. It's
It was easy to pull the trigger. It was just another trigger out there.
I guess your finger becomes psyched up too.
It was the enemy. They had to be killed.
Sometimes it becomes necessary to kill kids that's 6 or 7 years old. Oh yeah.
You didn't think about it. You didn't think, man, I killed a little kid. You didn't think about that.
No one wants to kill kids more or less than like killing a grown-up, you know, but sometimes that's war, it comes necessary. Everyone dies in wars and you do what you have to do.
But why did you kill the kid?
For the body count.
Đấy, thẳng tay ra. Bắn thẳng tay.
Now it's just like going through a Disneyland theme park. But I mean, this is quite realistic. In fact, it is real.
I've heard it so many times. Geez, I'm really sorry I missed it. What a drag I missed the war. God, I'd love to have been in the war. You know, I just try to tell them in the nicest way possible to get over it and that they were really very lucky.
So what do they really envy you for?
Who knows? Some fantasy they have, you know. We've all got one. And more than one, you know. Person's only got one fantasy. It's either, you know, it's some kind of demonic obsessive or very, very fortunate to only have one fantasy to have to try to perform. Difficult to deal with is the upside of a war. I mean, the parts of a war that are very beautiful. You don't ever have to worry where your next adrenaline rush is coming from. You don't have to, you know, live out some kind of phony life and death fantasy. When you're in a real life and death situation, there's a clarity to your life. They've seen it all in the movies. We've all seen it in the movies. There was so many complaints about the beauty of Apocalypse Now, the sort of voluptuous gorgeousness of the way that Francis portrayed war. Because we do tend to regard catastrophes with, you know, this kind of incredible fascination, thrill. Because it's so fascinating and thrilling and amusing that we don't perceive it as for what it is, which is suffering. And it's suffering sort of for our amusement. Amusement maybe is too strong a word, but I think I mean it. It's very complicated. It's very powerful. War is very powerful, very seductive.
At night, very quiet. You can hear all kind of things. And then you start hearing here, psychologically. You know, you start hearing those things. And when it gets quiet, that's when it's time to worry. At night, you would hear in the jungles, they would set up speakers. Those are crazy. They use that as a psychological thing, too. And the North Vietnamese making all kind of different sounds. And saying, America, GI, we love you. And you know it's a lot. You know, it's anything to work here. And they tell them, you're going to die tonight. You're going to die tonight. Oh, yeah, you get scared.
That first moment, your first kill, it's strange because it's something you've never done before. But after that, well, with me, it started getting good. The killing started getting good. So something is wrong here. Something is wrong with this picture.
What was good about it?
It was such a rush. It was like a rush better than any dope thing I got on the street. Something different. It was just a high you couldn't even imagine. So you keep on killing. The 2 years I spent over there, it was all right. It was authorized. Now I come back here, you can't do it. But you taught me how. I'm supposed to be penalized for it? I can't forget.
When you see other people and they die, then it's all about you fight to survive, okay? It has nothing to do with esprit de corps. It has nothing to do with stopping communism. It has nothing to do with none of that shit. It has to do with you're fighting to survive. It's an individual's personal experience that governments and militaries don't like to talk about. They will talk about wars, this, that, and another, but what the Marine or individual soldier goes through, those stories are never told, okay? They're too horrific.
So tell me about your first kill.
My first kill? Well, I can't answer that the way that, like you phrased that, okay? It's the first person that I've killed that I take responsibility for, okay, is also one of my traumas, okay, of with this kid that wouldn't stop coming towards the line. It was nothing glorious. I was the baby for 9.5 years, and this kid was about the age of my brother, okay, and that was next to me. And, you know, the thing about
the John Wayne type thing of fighting some other people that's shooting at you and that sort of thing. I don't know, maybe some people are into that. Unless you are a sniper, okay. Most times you cannot tell if your bullet has killed the individual or not. There's so many rounds being fired.
You and your buddy arguing about who shot who. I mean, you know, like I said, it got good. The killing got good. No, I got him, man. No, you didn't. I got him. I know.
We used to bet where it hit him at.
So did you make a lot of money?
Yeah, I made some and lost some.
So how would that work? You are there with your buddies, you see a victim somewhere.
We'd go out on what we call OP. It'd be a guy at the radio, guy at the M16, and me with the 14 with a scope. We'd go out on OP. We'd go possibly 2 to 3 clicks from our company by ourselves. And then we'd pick us out a pretty good spot. And one day there was 11 goose come across there, and we took them on, got them all down. Trick to it, when they're walking down a dike, you shoot the middle one. Well, you got the guy in the front, turn around and look, and you got the guy in the back, he's like this. But then you shoot the back one. Then you go to the front. Then they're all mixed up. They don't know which way to run. You just pick them off. It's simple.
Is it possible to describe in a book how they felt? Because many veterans have told me, I won't tell you because you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, but I was there. I was right there with them. Different. You know, we weren't sitting in a cafe in some city trying to open some horrible old can of worms. This was right there while it was going on. It wasn't really until after I came home and had written 2/3 of the book that the so-called reality of what I'd been through started to really make itself dreadfully apparent to me. You know, a lot of journalists think, oh, I'm a war correspondent, and I'm here on this side of the line, and that's going on over there on that side of the line, and I'm an observer. I'm not even part of this. I'm just watching. It doesn't work that way. You know, that line is a complete concept that people draw to protect themselves. But in fact, they're as much involved in what's going on as, you know, the killer and the killed. It was real. It wasn't just some film.
But do you think we need fiction more than reality to...
I don't hold a brief necessarily for either. You know, I mean, I don't know the difference. I've never known the difference. I have to tell you, and I have no idea what that difference really consists of between fact and fiction. I think it's really confusing. I'm confused. I'm really confused. It's like you read a memoir, you read an autobiography. I have no idea what's real and what's invented and what's wish fulfillment and what's confession. And you know, my first operation, I was in a helicopter that received ground fire, and someone was killed sitting across from me. He began bleeding, and I was in complete denial and in complete shock. It was like, you know, I'd been drugged or slugged or somehow rendered semi-conscious, and I was like I was looking at it from the wrong end of a telescope almost. Like it was very far away, very distant, had nothing to do with me. It really took me many times out. to stop, to lose that feeling that I was somehow watching a movie, or I was in a movie, I was in some, some media event, but certainly it wasn't real. Once you see what you want to see. You see it the way you want to see it. You see what you can bear to see. You see what you can handle. It took a long time for me to be able to feel that it was quite okay to have seen what I saw. Nothing personal. In spite of the incredible media apparatus that was set up in Vietnam and the total freedom they had to cover the war, that somehow some essence of that experience wasn't being communicated. People just got burned out. People here at home, every night, the same footage while they're having dinner. They became completely inured to the sight of war.
There was one event that I will never forget. She was a lieutenant for the MVA. And she, First Marine Division in Quan Tri, captured her. And we went to pick her up. After 3 months that she was in a compound, she was very quiet. She never talked to nobody. But it was her turn to go into the intelligence office. So I remember I was on duty, and they called me, bringing I don't remember her name. And I took her over there. And there was 2 officers for the South of Vietnam and 2 Americans, Navy guy, officers for intelligence. And I had to stay there, me and another friend of mine, until they finished the questions. Like I said, she didn't want to talk. And I knew when we took her over there that she wasn't going to say anything, because she didn't even talk to the other prisoners. We used to go feed her a breakfast, give her a breakfast, give her a lunch, and that lady won't eat. That lady won't even talk to nobody there. So I knew she wasn't going to talk. So when we took her there, about an hour, they got tired of asking her questions. They took her to the back of the building. They had a big power booster, and they had 2 plugs in each of the end of the power booster. They took that lady's clothes off. Once they did that, I told her, I asked them what the hell they was going to do. But I thought they was going to rape her or something like that. But if they was going to do that, I was ready to tell them, well, let me go. I'm not going to stay here, because I'm not going to watch you doing this. That was against my principle. It's all right if I had to kill somebody because they're going to shoot me. But me stand there and watch them do that, I don't think so. So they called the company commander, my company commander. So I got on the phone, and the company commander told me, no, you got to stay there. But they didn't rape her. You know what they did? They put a cable through her mouth and another cable through there. And when they plugged that, all that electricity. That lady was bleeding to her eyes, to her nose, to her mouth. Every little hole she had in her body was bleeding to it.
So that shock is very scary, and they ask many questions, so that some people are very hurt, they have to talk. But most of them never talk, they keep quiet until that.
They took those 2 cables out, and they keep asking questions. And then when they put that thing again, that lady was dead. I never forget the way the look that lady was giving me, like helping me, like, please help me. You know? And ever since, even when I was in Vienna, I used to think about that lady, you know. What a waste of life, you know.
Adjustments, you know, with your perceptions to make allowance for the really unbearable reality of what we're capable of and the kind of pleasure that a lot of people get from it. I don't know if these guys were sociopaths, psychotics, I don't know. It looked like they were. But you read it in a book and you're moved by it, or you're excited by it, or you're turned on by it. Doesn't mean you really believe people really do it. And then you see that they do. And it's,
Don't you think it's right to believe that we are all capable of it? If you're in the right situation, if you're in the war?
I don't know if it's right to believe it, but my experience indicates to me that that's the truth. If you'd spent any time, you know, more than a few days with the unit, people would come around and talk to you. And they would tell you stories that, frankly, some of them I wish I never heard. I really wish I hadn't heard them. A lot of it was just teenage bravado. And a lot of it was really from the heart. Because these guys found something that they felt they were really good at and that they were meant to do. And maybe they were born to do it, get it out of their system.
They called me Maggot. My nickname was Maggot because I was little and white. Yeah, I had to prove myself. I was the smallest guy in the company. Sometimes there was conflicts amongst the company, and most of the time there wasn't, because we was all out there to do the same thing.
But did it gain you a lot of respect to be a tunnel rat?
Yeah. That's probably what I done, because there wasn't very many people could do it.
So why did you want to go to Vietnam?
Well, my father had been a World War II veteran, and my brother was in Vietnam, and I couldn't let him outdo me. There was sort of a conflict between me and my brother of who was better at what. and I had to go because he was over. There wasn't no way around it. I quit high school and went.
Were you jealous of him?
Yeah.
But jealous of what?
They was always saying how proud they was of him and stuff like that, and I never got no recognition for things I'd do, even at school. I never got no recognition. They don't want to know the real me. They want to know the Billy that was there before, and he's not there.
What happened to him?
He died in Vietnam.
But what kind of Billy was that?
Evil. The real reason they don't want to hear the stories is because most of them's too gross. They think too gross, I don't want to hear that, It bothers them. They might have a dream about it. Every kill you made seemed like it made you feel a little better. In other words, there was a place that it sort of cheered you up to a certain extent. I mean, you didn't jump up and down or, with joy and all this, but it was a place in your heart that it just made you feel good.
Could you compare it to anything?
Sex. And that sounds bad. That sounds bad because, can I say this on camera? Sex is such an enjoyable thing. You take it and you compare it to killing somebody and having the same feeling. And that's where you's at.
And that's why you do it every time?
Yeah.
How many people did you kill?
36.
And how did you keep count?
Cutting their ears off.
What did you do with them?
Your shower rods that have the metal clips on them that look like a keychain, kept them on them, hooked them on your belt loop.
Why did you take them? Was it like a trophy?
Yeah. You could show them off. Look how many I got,
And what would their reaction be?
Some people thought it was sick, grotesque, gruesome. They felt like you was dead already, you didn't have a heart.
What did you do with it?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do with the ears?
They took them away in customs. Or I'd still have them, and I could have brought them with me. It was a sense of satisfaction, too. You could look at them and think, yeah, there's that many out there that ain't going to be out there no more. Our company had the highest body count in the battalion. Excuse me.
But can you imagine that I could be able to do it? I could become a killer?
Sure.
How?
By doing it.
If I would be in that situation,
Yeah.
It's not so hard?
All you gotta do is pull the trigger. Gun does the rest. There was two sides to every person over there. You had good times. You had time to relax, to be yourself, what you thought was yourself. But still hidden inside of you was that killer instinct. You could turn and do it in a minute. Well, once you've seen a lot of your buddies blowed in half and killed and stuff, I started drinking a lot. Carried a fifth of whiskey with me all the time. And I carried at least a pound of pot with me. Wasn't supposed to have any of that. But I smoked it on the trail. No, everybody did. A lot of guys shot up with heroin, coke. Every guy that used different narcotics made him able to do his job a little better, because everything didn't work for the same person. And a lot of guys could smoke pot and it'd make them paranoid. Well, me, it made me want to go.
I saw sometimes that when you kill people, you put playing cards on them.
Yeah,
Why?
ace of spades. We'd cut their head off and put it on a bamboo pole and put ace of spades up there. 9 chances out of 10 when you'd done that, the goose wouldn't come back to that area. It was something religious. It wouldn't come back to that area.
Was it like a ritual?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. A bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird. A bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. A bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird. A bird's a winner, well, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner, well, a everybody's heard about the bird.
That machete I got at home that I customized, I've cut many a head off with that. That's why it means so much to me. After a while, after about a month of seeing combat, it became natural. You know, it was a natural thing to do. I had a sergeant tell me when I first come over here, they call you a green seed. He told me to stick with me. And he said, I'll teach you the ropes and you'll make it home. So I stuck with him. I seen things he done that I thought were wrong. But I thought, if this is the way I got to stay alive, so be it. And I done what he said, and I made it home.
But you made it home because you stepped over the line of
Yeah. I swore I'd never do that. Made a promise to myself I'd never step over the line, but I did.
Is it easy?
Yes and no. It comes very natural. It's just a little step further, you know, just a hair, you know. It was like there was the right and there was the wrong. But it didn't seem like the wrong was that far away from the right. So I stepped over the line. And it didn't feel no different. I've often wondered if I'd go to hell. Friends have told me, no, you won't, because in the Bible it speaks of wars. So.
What do they say about it?
I'm not sure.
That it's all right?
In the times of war, you won't go to hell. But I think for some of the cruel things I've done, that I will.
And you wrote in dispatches that one night you had to cover some soldiers and you had to fire a gun, and it made you feel alive. You know, you said war is a fantastic opportunity.
Yes. And, you know, I can't deny it. And I can't feel bad about it. It's not possible for me to locate some, you know, feeling that, my God, I shouldn't have felt that way.
But that's what religion does to us, the Christian religion. You're not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to kill. I mean, there are no subsidiary clauses to the Ten Commandments. You know, it says, thou shalt not kill, you know, see paragraph 12. You're not going to find the dispensation for those commandments. So I would have to say that, you know, the Judeo-Christian system is, to put it kindly, flawed. Flawed. It's, you know, it's a structure built on terrible hypocrisy.
But what happens to us if we don't know what's good and bad? We're lost.
Well, I mean, these are always personal and private areas, you know, where the inquiries have to be individual inquiries. And we live in society. And, we're very often, you know, our personal inquiries are overwhelmed by the requirements of the society. I mean, this is like basic, you know, this is, you know, so basic as to really not require talking about it, but just in case someone's forgotten, you know, that we have our private agendas, and often those private agendas include, you know, questions of conscience and procedure, and there's no latitude in the social arrangement for that sort of thing. So it's, you know, if there's a war on, young men are expected to go and fight and kill and die. You know, and with young men, there's always, it's fascinating, it's interesting. I mean, it's one of the great cliches of war literature, you know, the young man full of piss and vinegar, ready to get into combat and prove his gallantry and his courage and make his family proud and his community proud. And they go and they see what it is, and it's too late.
Did it help you trigger your dark side?
You're never far out of touch with it anyway, there. You know, I was an educated guy. I'd read Jung and Freud, and, you know, I was vaguely conscious of those hidden pools of, you know, racial memory and collective consciousness and all of that stuff, you know. But if you're going to subscribe to the collective consciousness, and I would encourage people to do that, you've definitely got to co-subscribe to the collective unconsciousness. Because that's where the real shit is going on. And if it isn't, if you're not conscious of it, it will express itself in really awful ways.
Sniperson.
Nothing is more powerful in your mind. And if what's going on, commencing in your mind, is obscure, dark, and you're unaware of it, it's going to slip out as action. And it will be violent action, you know. Whatever you tell yourself you're doing. it's very primitive, that the most extreme act of power is to take another life, people think. I mean, that's a belief in the subconscious.
Where does it come from?
I don't know. It comes from racial memory. It comes from some kind of habitual mind. We do seem to know things in common that goes way, way back. You know, every time a couple of kids flip out and try to kill everyone in their high school, these anchormen who are getting paid many millions of dollars a year come out, and the best they can do is say, why did this happen? How could this happen? They know. They know how this can happen and why it happens. And if they don't know, they really shouldn't be in those jobs. But the pathetic thing is that they do know how it happens. We all know how it happens.
This is what I always said, like you put yourself in his position at that time and place, and how do you know? How can anybody know how you would react?
So it's purely coincidence if you become a killer or not?
Well, I mean, who knows? How do you know you yourself will not pull that trigger? How do you know? So it's easy to condemn people. And this is why I always say pictures do lie. They only tell half-truths. Great. Yes.
If you have a kind of a politically, socially liberal agenda, you're likely not to look at this. You're likely to assume that you don't feel that way, without ever suspecting that you have that capability in you. People would be shocked to learn what they're capable of. They're just very lucky that the circumstances of their lives have never put them in a position where they have to act it out. So they never get in touch with it. And it just keeps bubbling along there. You know, it would look as though we are predators, that we are natural-born killers. And I'm not certain that we are. You know, any more than the imperative to reproduce necessarily makes us a race of lovers. But war is very beautiful outside of some kind of comfortable moral context. People get very confused. You know, they think that you're saying war is good without reminding them that war is bad. It's no good. You can't. War is definitely bad. It's not. It's not definitely bad. It's not particularly good. It has many, many elements, many flavors. So people who have moral certainties, I wouldn't presume that they're not at least as confused as you and I. You know, they have a cover that says they're not confused.
I still dream of Vietnam. I still want to go there. But I don't want to return the way they're going over there now. I want to go back over there to kill.
Why?
I miss it. I've never found nothing like that. But yet they put us out there to do that, and then they bring you home and they expect you to act like normal people.
I mean, you think people really give a shit? People don't really give a shit anyway.